The first update of the year just dropped, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this is one of the biggest updates in Schedule 1's history. I mean, just look at the patch notes, they're about a mile long. In case you missed it, Tyler recently brought on another developer named Rob to help out, and we're already seeing how big of a difference it is now that Tyler has an extra set of hands. What was supposed to be a small patch turned into a full-blown update. Alongside a ton of quality of life improvements and bug fixes, we've got brand new buildables, changes to drying racks, and a whole bunch of tweaks around Highland Point, all setting the stage for some absolutely wild updates coming in 2026. With all that out the way, let's break it all down and take a look at the brand new stuff we got with this update. Starting off with the biggest change in this update, we got closets. You see, this update included 4 brand new closets, and you can pick them up from the hardware stores. Tyler heard our pleas for a better way to store items, and he finally delivered. They come in small, medium, large, and huge, and if you thought their prices were steep, just wait until you open them up and see the amount of items you can store in these. The small one has 6 slots, the medium one has 8 slots, and the large one has 12. And then we have the huge one, which packs a whopping 20 slots of storage. That's more storage than the Viper. Assuming all your items have a stack size of 20, you'd be able to store 400 items in just one huge storage closet. This could have massive implications on farms, especially since you can use it as a supply shelf for botanists, and the larger size means a perfect buffer in a smaller space for all those late game automated builds. And yes, I'm still working on them. And speaking of massive implications for farms, the drying racks also got a big upgrade. You see, the drying racks are now affected by the AC units, just like pots and plants are. If the temperature near the drying racks is around 40 degrees Celsius, it will cut the drying time from 12 hours per stage all the way down to just 8 hours. The actual calculation for this is the same as it is for the pots, so make sure to keep the temperature as close to 40 degrees Celsius as you can. The farther away from 40 degrees it is, the less effective it's going to be. On top of that, drying racks have been fitted with some genuinely slick tech to smooth out your production flow. You'll now see colorful sparkles that indicate the current quality of the drying product, and Tyler also added thresholds directly to the clipboard just like the mixing stations have. What that means in practice is your botanist won't be running around with any of those weird half, quarter, or 8 batches anymore. Instead, they'll wait until they have a full batch of 20 to start drying, meaning that now our product will progress cleanly through growing, drying, and packaging, lining up perfectly. Next, we gotta talk about graffiti because there's a lot of new changes in the graffiti department. Firstly, Tyler added a brand new graffiti spot in Westville to the bungalow, which you can reach by jumping up on the dumpster near the apartment building. And while we're here, we may as well talk about the new graffiti UI, because the entire system just received a major overhaul. The graffiti draw screen now includes 4 different stroke sizes, 10, 16, 24, and 32 pixels, along with an undo button, meaning you no longer have to start over just because your lines are about as straight as Elton John. There's also a finalize button, which I love because it's so much more intuitive than hitting escape and hoping your ethically questionable artwork actually saved. I hated having to redo my graffiti. And lastly, for those of you who've been asking for more vehicle customization, we're also getting a small preview of what might be coming next. Viper vans now come with their own dedicated graffiti spot, letting you advertise your brand around town or quickly identify which van is carrying what. Just grab a can or 2 of spray paint from the local gas mart and let the creativity flow. But we're not the only ones who will appreciate this brand new graffiti system. You see, in this new update, the Benzies hired a couple of failed art majors from the local college to help tag their territory. This is a cartel activity, meaning it has a random chance of triggering as long as you have at least 100 cartel influence in the region. And when it activates, the game looks for an unoccupied graffiti spot at least 20 meters away from the player, then spawns a cartel goon who starts spraying the wall in various colors. Once they begin, you've got a 2 to 3 minute window to catch them in the act and interrupt the tagging. If you do manage to interrupt them, the cartel influence will drop by 100 and you're rewarded with 50 XP. But if you don't make it in time, that graffiti spot will permanently become Benzie Graffiti, meaning you're gonna have to clean it off before you tag it. Now, the moment I read about this change, I immediately wanted to see every single possible Benzie graffiti in the game. So naturally, I dove straight into the game files and found something very interesting. Inside the graffiti drawings folder, there's a subfolder called To Delete. These appear to be outdated drawings that Tyler forgot to remove before the update went live. However, there was a slight problem. The graffiti wasn't an image. It wasn't a PNG or a JPEG. Oh no, it was just a random file filled with text telling the graffiti artist how to actually paint the graffiti, and so I wasn't able to tell what each graffiti was supposed to be. And that's when I remembered I can program too. So I rolled up my sleeves, opened my trusty old Visual Studio, and duct taped together a little program that let me copy all of those graffiti strokes directly into my own save file. I'm going to show all of the new graffiti, but if you want to avoid spoilers, you can skip to this timestamp to see only the cut content from that folder. Here's every graffiti drawing currently obtainable in-game. You have Alien, Bags, Benzies, the Benzies logo, Dead, Dodgy, FU, Get a Grip, Got It All, Green Bee, Honor, I Love You, King Bee, Kush, Popo, Sharp Bee, Skull, TB, and Tic Tac Toe. It's honestly a lot, but now I'm going to show you all of the deleted drawings from that special hidden folder. We have Benzies, Dodgy, FU, Grip, Hatch, Honor, Hood, I Love You, Penis, Picasso, Popo, Shh, Skull, Skull Wings, Target, Twat, and Wings. That's all of the new graffiti that was added in this update. And I wouldn't have been able to find that deleted graffiti if I didn't know how to program. So if you want to write your own graffiti changer like I did, but you don't know how to write code, you should try boot.dev. Now listen, if you immediately want to skip this ad because studying sounds impossible or learning a new skill is hard, there is something you should know about the human brain. The biggest problem with studying is actually the lack of immediate dopamine, not how good or frequent your routine is. When you try to learn something through a book or a video, nothing immediately happens, and that makes your brain get demotivated pretty fast, and this is especially true for people with ADHD like me. Boot.dev, however, is designed to avoid this from happening. Each section comes with an XP and reward system that reminds your brain that you're actually making progress and learning something new. They're quite literally hacking your brain into studying harder. All of a sudden, an hour-long studying session feels like 15 minutes. The courses break high-level concepts down into simple tasks that show you how to think in code by actually letting you write code yourself. This means you no longer have to sit with a headache trying to wrap your head around a poorly explained concept. You can actually test it and see how it works in practice, which is a total game changer. So if you've ever wanted to learn how to write code, but don't have the money or time to go through a college course, you should give boot.dev a try. And if you use the promo code BIGWILLY, you'll get a 25% discount. And if you're still not convinced, boot.dev offers a 30-day, no questions asked refund policy. And thank you again to boot.dev for sponsoring another video. Jumping back into the update, there were also some pretty major shakeups to the phone UI, and these changes are going to make managing and fine-tuning your growing empire a whole lot easier. Starting with suppliers, you can now see exactly how much you owe Albert, Shirley, Phil, and Salvador, making it much easier to stay on top of your drops and deliveries. This information shows up in both the Messages and Contacts app, so there's really no excuse anymore. You better start filling up those dead drops. The next big change was to the Contacts app, and it got a very welcome upgrade. Instead of running all over the internet looking up customer preferences, weekly budgets, and their most ordered products, Tyler's moved all of that information front and center. You can now make smarter decisions about production and distribution directly in the game without ever having to go to a wiki. Your dealers and your customers will definitely appreciate having custom mixed, ready-made products available exactly when they want them. The dealer management app also received a nice quality of life improvement, and this one was my favorite. Instead of scrolling back and forth through dealers with arrows, there's now a clean drop-down menu that lets you instantly select the exact dealer you're looking for, making customer changes quick and painless. On top of that, Tyler added even more useful info to each dealer entry. You can see a customer's expected quality and region right next to their name, letting you tell at a glance whether dealers are assigned correctly, and where everyone is operating from. With all of these changes in place, picking customers for dealers, dialing in production numbers, and choosing the right products to supply your network should be easier than ever. And while we're on the topic of dealers, they also got a massive overhaul in this update. First off, dealers can now be assigned up to 10 customers instead of the original 8. And they've been given a lot more flexibility in how they schedule deals and move around town. all to make sure you're squeezing the most money out of every single transaction. Dealers will now start by offering each customer the lowest quality product that customer is willing to accept, only moving up to higher quality items if needed. On top of that, they schedule deals at more spaced out times, giving themselves plenty of buffer to actually reach meetups before the deadlines. They begin with 2 deals per time slot, morning, afternoon, evening, and night, and then gradually add more deals to each slot if the demand calls for it. This prevents situations where a dealer misses multiple deals just because all their customers want to buy at the same time of day. Fewer missed deals means less money left on the table. And speaking of missed deals, dealers now move faster when traveling to meetups, spending less time wandering the streets and reducing the chances of getting jumped by the Benzies. If they're really cutting it close, dealers will even sprint to make a deal on time, and it's actually pretty funny to see happen. This mechanic only kicks in if there's less than 90 minutes left before a deal expires, so it's rare, but the mental image of a dealer full-on sprinting across Highland Point because Keith wanted a late night smoke sesh is honestly incredible. Now, here's how you know Tyler's watching the channel. In my 10 Things Missing video, I talked about informants and tip-offs for when the Benzies were moving product, and sure enough, that idea is in the game now. Your dealers now have a 30% chance to text you when a Benzie dealer is spotted operating in their area. That gives you roughly 4 hours of warning to drop what you're doing, grab that stolen police 1911, and pounce on a green-shirted grub like a lion on an unsuspecting zebra. Plenty of time to set up an ambush, block roads with cars, or perch somewhere dramatic and deliver some good old-fashioned vigilante justice. And finally, there was a huge quality of life fix that addressed dealers constantly texting you when they're out of product. Previously, dealers would send a message every single time a scheduled deal expired while they were empty, meaning your phone would absolutely explode if they had multiple unfinished deals queued up. But thankfully that logic has now been fixed. Dealers will only send a message once, on the final deal they were able to complete before running out of inventory. There's also a new check to make sure the dealer texting you is actually your dealer, so no more awkward texts from the Benzies telling you that they ran out of product. With this change in place, you'll only get a single notification when a dealer actually needs a refill, meaning Brad and Jane won't be blowing up your phone at 3 in the morning while you're trying to recharge for another long day of hustling. And that's not even close to being everything they added in this new update. Tyler and Rob also tweaked a bunch of things, but in order to not make this video 2 hours long, I'm only going to be going over the interesting ones, and we're going to do it rapid fire style. Customers will now walk faster when heading to a deal. The police sentry by Taco Ticklers now overlooks both roads. They tweaked mixed pawn dialogue, NPCs no longer refer to midnight as 12 PM, NPCs no longer walk through the diner, punching one reduces their relationship instead of increases, killing one of my favorite bugs. NPC sample cooldowns properly reset after sleeping instead of at midnight. They fixed the customer deal dialogue sometimes not being active while walking to the deal location. They fixed the deal completed pop-up displaying incorrect information when 2 deals are completed in quick succession. Expected product quality is now displayed in the handover screen. Mixing Station Mark II now has a threshold of 20 instead of 10. Massive change there. Supplier meeting storage racks now disappear when you sleep instead of immediately when the meeting ends. The Mixing Station Mark II is now a tiny bit bigger. You can no longer harvest multiple plants at once. He finally fixed the barn employee idle locations being obstructed by the delivery vehicles. They reduced lighting brightness in the warehouse marketplace. The RV, motel, and businesses no longer are listed as locations for deliveries. He updated the logos in the intro cutscene. Object icons are now displayed for object lists and routes in the management clipboard. Item slots now bop when an item is inserted, which I thought was a pretty nice quality of life update. You'll no longer stop sprinting when running over a manhole cover. The RV explosion now affects players' health. The ladder no longer bobs the camera. He corrected the player hitbox while being crouched. And the best one of all, skin color now affects nipple color. That's right, fellas. No more white nipples if you're a black person. And finally, we've got a change that's pretty niche, but I have a feeling it's going to make the game feel a lot smoother overall. Have you ever looked at a clock or countdown in game that updates every second and noticed it sometimes just skips a number? Like it jumps an entire second or minute out of nowhere? That happens because the game's tick rate was set to 1 second. If a frame ever took too long to process, the game would basically just say, good enough. Skip that update entirely and move on to the next one. But in this update, Tyler changed the tick rate to 0.5 seconds, which gives the game a much larger update window. The result should be far fewer skip ticks and much more consistent timing across things like timers and countdowns. Now, I can't tell you exactly how noticeable this will be in every situation, but my developer instincts tell me this is one of those behind the scenes changes that will quietly make the entire game feel better to play. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This update has been incredible, and I'm really excited to see what Tyler and Rob put out for the rest of this year. I'm sorry there haven't been a lot of videos lately. I started a new job and I'm trying to get all that under wraps, but I'm hopping back on the train and I should have a lot more for you in February. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay silly, y'all.